Our next guest helped run one of the National Hockey League's best power plays for the last few seasons with the Vancouver Canucks. He is on his way to Minnesota to serve as an assistant coach with the Wild. It's our pleasure to welcome back former Canuck and former Canucks coach, Mr. Jason King, to Sekeres and Price. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
Great. I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
You're more than welcome. Congratulations on the appointment in Minnesota. How did all of that come about?
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, it's you know what, it's never easy. When you're not going to come back to the team that you've been with for a long time and that you've loved to coach. But you know what, you kind of go through the process. You always want things to kind of work out quicker than they normally do, but you got to be patient. You got to make sure you network, make sure you're getting your name out there as much as you can. And yeah, it's never an easy process, like I said. But you know what, fortunate that things went well in a lot of conversations I had, and many right from the get-go. It just it happened quick, but it seemed like a great fit for me and my family and the situation that they're in. And for me to be able to stay at the NHL level, it's pretty fortunate. It's not that many jobs out there, and for me, I'm very grateful for them to give me that opportunity there, and I'm excited to join that group.
Jason, in absence of being a perennial All-Star and Hall of Famer, just grinding out an NHL career as a player and as a coach over multiple head coaches in Vancouver and now multiple organizations. I mean, you're kind of living the dream. I mean, not many people get to make a life's living off of the sport of professional hockey, and you're doing it.
100%. So fortunate. So many guys play the game, and I was very fortunate as well to be able to make it to the NHL level. You always want your career to last as long as it possibly can, but to finish playing pro and to get into coaching right away and to get back into the minors, kind of where it all started for me, and then kind of progress to the NHL level. I always thought in the back of my head and wanted in the back of my head that I would continue on in this path in hockey. And yeah, you know what? There's a lot of challenges that come to it, but you know what? Love every bit of it. The people that you meet along the way. You know what? In the organizations and every organization that you go to, the goals, are to succeed and win. And you know what? That's kind of what drives all of us as players and coaches. And I've spent a long time in the Vancouver organization and met some great people along the way that have truly helped my career, my family, and everything that goes with that. So. Sad to see us move on from here, but very grateful for everything this organization has done for us.
We were saying, Jason, you served under 3 different head coaches. That in itself is an achievement. What was your...
Call Ripley's. Somebody set a record.
How were you able to survive during such a tumultuous time here with the Canucks?
Yeah, you know what? It definitely presented its challenges. But you know what? In saying that, I look back at it now, and I was, again, very lucky to be able to coach under some great coaches and learn some great things. Obviously, with Travis, Bruce, and Talk, like their resumes and their reputation speak for themselves, and it's things that I think are only going to help me in my career moving forward. And but I'm not going to lie that there was definitely some roller coasters of emotions and everything the last few years as expected. But you got to try and take the positive of everything. You got to try and take things that you learn, put them in your back pocket, and hopefully you can use those again to your advantage down the road. But you know what? As for all of us in the coaching world, especially at the NHL level, you have a shelf life. That's the tough part of the gig that we're in. You try and extend that shelf life as long as you possibly can, do the best that you possibly can. But going through 3 coaches and a management change, try and do your best. But I guess there's only so long you can hide under the desk before they find you, maybe.
Hey, Jason, this you were responsible for this power play. It finished 11th, 9th, and 11th in the league under your stewardship. Quite simply, what was the secret for the success? Why were you guys so good on the power play the last few years?
Because everybody's got good players. And like you guys have your good players, but why did the Canucks have the success?
You know what? Vancouver definitely has some elite players and some elite skill there. The big thing for me with our group we had here was, trying to make sure they gel together and everybody's on the same page and everybody's pulling on the same rope. And to me, that starts with building the foundation early and building relationships. Like structurally, I think it's so important to build your foundation so that guys know that there's no second guessing, everything's second nature. But then the next part of that is making sure, again, everybody's actually understanding the value of what another player brings to the other and how that person can help another person, whether it be the team win, individually, whatever that might be. But in saying that, you know what, there's a lot of high-end talent there. And I think also like gaining feedback from guys. Like those guys are so skilled no matter what team you're on, like you mentioned. It's important to see their ideas, hear their ideas, give them your thoughts and your ideas. And power plays there's so many ebbs and flows throughout the season, but trying to keep them even keeled and consistent as much as possible as well. So communication's huge. Like it's huge. And guys want it. Guys want to see, they want to hear positive feedback. But you know what, the days of just going out there and running standard plays have kind of passed us. Penalty kills have changed as well. Now in the last couple of years, especially a lot of teams switch into a diamond penalty kill, or what I call a diamond penalty kill. So it's giving guys ideas, giving guys concepts. They get excited by that. And you know, we were lucky. We had a group that executed well, and we had some high-end talent there. But they were fun to coach. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Learned so much from all those guys, and appreciate the opportunity that they gave me to be able to work with them.
Who brought the most ideas to the table amongst your players?
Millsy was very creative. You know what? I love coaching all the guys. I really enjoyed coaching Millsy. You know what? He challenged you in a great way to come up with different concepts, different ideas. I would toss a lot of ideas at him, and he would do the same at me. And that's fun. You know, that's the fun part of the game on the coaching side of it, that you want to actually have to challenge guys and be challenged yourself. So he was great, and he's a dynamic power play. And, you know, with Quinn and Petey, you know what? Those are, you know, obviously we know they're how talented and high end skill that they are, and doing the same with those guys. You know what? Nothing really changes there. So we had a great group. We had a really great group, and obviously, you know, whoever's going to take that over here has a great personnel to work with and great personalities to work with, and they're going to have a strong power play here for years to come, no doubt.
Things in life are cyclical. It seems impossible. I can't really see a reason why we would do this, but would the NHL ever go back to a 2-point man power play? Do you ever see a world where there's 2 defensemen back there again?
It's quite possible, and it's, you know, it kind of varies on personnel, and you know, if guys are high-end skilled enough to be able to do that on the back end, which teams do have now. But like I mentioned, with the diamond type of penalty kill, you know, your standard 1-3-1 setup has changed completely. So in that way, it actually kind of orients more now where maybe you can use 2 guys on the back end if that skill level or the shots allow that. Mm-hmm. So I think it could happen. Again, I think everything's always evolving, so we'll see. I think it's going to be very interesting in the next couple of years how power plays and PKs actually, how they kind of interact with each other, because I think it's changed so much, definitely in the last 2 years.
And are you on the power play in Minnesota? Have they confirmed to you what they want you to do?
Yep. We run the power play there, but they're a very all-inclusive group, and everybody has feedback. Everybody actually has their input. They want me to have as much feedback and input on the PK, and which is great. You know, that's awesome. You're not just completely solely responsible for one area. Like, it is ultimately, I guess, at the end of the day, it is your area of focus. But you know, everybody has their say, which is awesome, because sometimes through the season, as we all know, it's a long year, and you know what? Sometimes you do get stale, and sometimes you get caught in your ways. That, you know, it's okay to have different ideas or different thoughts. And but yeah, it's been great so far. And actually, I like that concept that they roll with in Mini. That's
a fun new toy, Kirill Kaprizov. By the way, you get to play with a pretty good toy there on the power play.
He is fun to watch. I'm excited to actually get in there and chat with him and actually throw some ideas at him, because he is dynamic. And you know what? No different than what we had in Vancouver here. Mm-hmm. There's some dynamic pieces there as well, that they've had a great power play for the last number of years, actually. So for me to walk in there, there's not a whole lot that you need to change. Bring some different concepts and ideas, and hopefully the guys run with them. But definitely with Kaprizov, he's high end, and he loves to score goals. So I'm excited to get there.
I'm going to ask the opposite question to my colleague here, Coach. Forgive me, but are we going to see 5 forwards on a power play?
Yeah,
that's a standard.
That's a good. I like that one better.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think you can definitely see that. I think there's actually, it happens probably more often than we think it does, actually. Mm-hmm. You know what? Because most teams are heavily front loaded skill wise up front. So you know, if you don't have a guy on the back end that actually can complement that skill level, and a guy can fill that position, You know what? 100%. You know, with the tough part with having 5 guys is the responsibility factor, right? Like, you know, the last thing you want to be doing on a power play is giving up shorthanded goals. So, you know, that's something that definitely needs to be instilled there. But 100%, I'm actually from my side, but I'd be completely okay with that if you have the personnel to do so.
Does Erik Karlsson count as a defenseman on the power play? I mean, that's effectively 5 forwards.
There's a number of new age defensemen I think you could say that about. Hey, Jason, help satisfy our curiosity. Elias and that big one-timer. I think it's 2 years in a row now he's been amongst the league leaders in hitting the post. Do you have a theory on why he hits the post so often on that big power play one-timer?
Well, I think for Petey, he actually, not many guys with their one-timer can be so accurate with their one-timer. Guys just trying to get it on net. For Petey, he's so skilled and his shot is so good. I think he has the ability to aim his one-timer more so than other guys. So he's trying to pick corners. So, you know what? It's unfortunate that they didn't go in as much as they probably should have from a post standpoint, but I think that's probably the reason why, because his shot is so dynamic and he actually has the ability to pick corners with the one-timer. You know, and you know, sometimes it's just bad luck, but you know, that's kind of my theory on that though.
Who's the best Bo Horvat substitute in the bumper spot, do you think?
Oh, it's a tough one. It's from a power play standpoint, it's always about how the hands match up. And you know, with Bo being the lefty inside with kind of the setup that we had from a threat standpoint, you know what, but really stepped in there and did a good job for us. You know what, and I think there's also, again, with power plays or PKs adapting, there's also a potential of putting a right-hand shot inside, and whether that's Besser or Kuzmenko, wherever that might be, and maybe you can run more options off of Petey's side. So, but it's tough. You know, it's a guy like Bo. It's really hard to replace. You know, that shot, that skill set. You know, work with Bo a lot in the last couple of years and kind of, you know, fine tuning that position, because that position to me is one of the most important on the power play. People don't think so, but I really feel it is. It's at the end of the day, you want your chances coming from the interior of the ice, and that's the guy that's on the interior of the ice. So I think Bo, before he got traded, he had, I don't know if it was 11 or 12 goals to that point in the season on the power play, which is pretty impressive, right? So it's tough when you lose that, but you know, I think Van definitely has some personnel that might be able to step in there and obviously fill that void, though. We've
been talking about Pettersson's offensive capabilities. He's on the map at least for Selke award voting now. Do you think he's already there? Do you think that's just a reputational thing that he just needs to earn his way up those rankings now? Do you think that he needs another year to fine tune his defensive play as well?
Yeah, I think he's very close. You're right. You know what? You kind of have to build your reputation for a little bit of time before it kind of really starts to sink in through the league. But Petey's 200-foot game has come a long way in the last 2 years. And, you know, you look at him, you know, he's out there in all situations, all time, like any time of the game, defensively, obviously offensively. But he's right there. I think he's taken his game to a different level in the last couple of years in that aspect. And again, you know, he has another strong year on the defensive side of the puck. I think he's definitely going to be in that mix.
We've been talking a little this week about Podkolzin and Höglander, the young wingers there from that 2019 draft. Jason, do you think either of them have power play potential, and what do you think it's going to take for them to take that next step in the NHL?
For sure they do. 100% they do. And you know what? Sometimes I also feel that those guys have so much value on the second power play unit to kind of build, I guess, comfort, confidence, whatever that might be, to be able to actually make that step to the first unit. You know, we keep talking about how highly talented, you know, power plays are now, and you look at the personnel that Vancouver has, it's hard to bump guys off for that first group, but I think the value that those younger guys can bring to a second group, you know, you're not going to get the touches and minutes, obviously, the first group's going to get, but the skill set is there, you know, especially with Pods. And, you know, I was able to work with Pods quite a bit, you know, before he went down, but he has the tenacity, he has the heart, you know, he has everything that you want, especially you're being hungry around the net and stuff. But they have, you know what, Van has a lot of skill, you know, even beyond those guys. But you want those young guys to be able to actually work their way into those situations, because ultimately at the end of the day, you're going to have injuries. You're going to have whatever it might be, and guys need to fill in a position. So you definitely want to get them acclimated to the group.
We were talking before we hit record here. The King family has made Vancouver home through the summers here. Will we be losing you, Jason, to Minnesota, or is the King family going to stay here in beautiful British Columbia?
It's a good investment. Don't sell the house. Don't sell the house.
Yeah. Our plan is to move there. You know, I can't tell you how much we've enjoyed our time here. The province, the people, the organization, it's been phenomenal. And You know what? It's actually, I think, 11 years that I've been with the organization, from playing to the minors to now being here. My wife Jen and I, we say all the time that, you know what, if you're living in Canada, you know, the province of BC and the city of Vancouver is hands down the place to be. So, like we had mentioned, you know, my boys are big into mountain biking, they're big into everything outdoors, and what this province has to offer, it's second to none. So, the plan is to move to Mini and get the group. They all get the whole clan there, but I can tell you, we definitely want to come back and visit, because we really enjoyed this place.
Lake country can be beautiful too.
Yeah.
Just bring your mosquito repellent. Before you go, I mean, walk down memory lane, and it must have been really fun here in your last couple of years to see the Sedin twins around, because I think everybody here will say, you know, that was the most memorable stretch of your career. I don't know if it was for you. I'm sure it was up there to play with the twins and have some modicum of success there. I mean, did you ever reminisce with the twins about your time post-playing career, about that magical stretch of time where you were potting goals with them?
We did for sure. And what I can say about those guys, they are phenomenal human beings. As much as, you know, as great a hockey players, or obviously Hall of Famers, but they are just great people. And you know what, for me to be able to get back and you know what, to be able to coach with them on the different side of it, their thoughts, their ideas, their mindset, their work ethic. I think it's an amazing hire, you know, to bring them back on staff, because you know what they can provide to a group is pretty impressive. So I've actually really enjoyed it. We joke around quite a bit, talk about the Mattress Line back in the day, and you know what, I could be on the power play at net front, just close my eyes, put my stick on the ice, and the boys would find it. So they're impressive players. But honestly, you know what, in saying that again, it's more the character of the individuals themselves and their families. You know, the organization is very lucky to actually have them.
You're selling yourself short, Coach.
Yes,
Back
sir.
in that era, they used to beat on guys in front of the net with impunity. So you took a lot of punishment there to convert those power play opportunities. Well, Jason, we'll see you up at Crankford's with the two boys in Whistler. You've always been fantastic with fans and media here in Vancouver, across BC. Thank you for that, sir, and we wish you nothing but success in Minnesota.
I appreciate it, guys. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here. The organization has been great. You know what, all the coaches I've worked with, Patrick, Jim, you know what, it's tough. You never want to leave, but you know what, there's no hard feelings. You know what, they helped me actually to my path, even getting to Mini and stuff. So nothing but great memories, great, you know what, a time, a different chapter in life. But I want to thank everybody, fans especially, for our time here.
Great to hear. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This clip brought to you by Whistler Golf Club. If you have a group of 12 or more, the group organizer plays for free. Inquire now at whistlergolf.com/groups.